So before I start my presentation, let us just recall the things we were talking about. So actually, I have started with the routing algorithms. Number of routing algorithms were there, right? So now from that I have talked about static route, right? And static routing I have completed. In static routing, we have seen that you need to give static path for whatever destination network is there. If you want to go with host specific, you know, which was there in the syllabus, if you want to go with host specific, in that case, what you can do is you can write the path for that specific host in there, right? So you can have a destination network as a host ID, and then you can provide the way you can connect to that particular host. Just a second, I'm starting. Is my screen visible? Yes. Sorry for being this much. Actually, too many things has happened parallelly, and the machine I was using got hanged, so that I plan another machine for the lecture. So forgive me for that. I've started late doesn't mean that I will go up to 12, beyond 12:45. Don't worry. Okay. It's my mistake, so I will not allow you to pay for that. So just a moment. Yes. No, I don't want to recover this card. Yes. Just start the PPT, please. Yes, it's there. So now at least you can understand that how RIP works. Okay. Distance vector routing protocol. Yesterday I have shown, sorry, static routing does work. So anytime when you have a routing algorithm, how does it work? At least you must know that. Uh, and where can we configure that? Okay. Now RIP is over in our discussion. Let us talk about link state routing protocol. So link state routing protocol is again a intra-domain routing protocol. Okay. So intra-domain means that you are in between that autonomous system is there. In between that autonomous system, you are using that algorithm and link state routing protocol. So what is idea behind link state routing protocol? The idea behind RIP or distance vector routing protocol was like you can use distance to measure that which path is there, which path is nearer path from your host to destination. Nearest path we wanted to find out, and for that we have chosen routing information protocol, distance vector protocol. What idea behind link state routing protocol? Is my audio okay? Yes, okay, thank you. Take a dive. See, why I'm asking too many times because my audio is from another device and I'm sharing another the different device. So that right. So making sure that my audio must be clear because if my audio will not be okay, then you actually probably you will not get exact idea. So in intra-domain routing protocol, if you look at this, it's link state routing protocol. What link state routing? That other than going for distance. Now what we do is we will be using the cost of the link. What will be the cost of the link? Rather than looking at the distance, now look at uh, what we can say, how the link is, what is bandwidth available, how faster you can move forward, okay, what is traffic there, or many things. Okay, so actually, if you have 3 or 4 ways to go to visit from CT1 to CT2, so far in distance vector routing protocol, we were using distance, that which one is the nearest or which one is the fastest route. Okay. And in link state routing protocol, we are not looking at the fastest way or the distance, but now we are looking at the routes, the traffic, okay, kind of that. So the second line says that each node in the domain has the entire topology of the domain. So each node, whatever the node is there in that entire domain, they will have the copy of that entire graph, okay, which includes how they are connected. How they are connected, first thing. Second thing is cost metric. And the condition of the link, and then node can use the Dijkstra algorithm to build a routing table. So you see, this is again throwing a card of finding out shortest path, right? So if you want to find out shortest path, then what you need is entire graph. Yes, you have that entire graph and cost between every node which are connected directly. So yes, you have that link and the cost metric is already there. And then what you do, you start from a node which you take as a root node, and then you generate or you apply Dijkstra algorithm. You normally pronounce it Dijkstra algorithm, that to create the tree with the shortest path, that which will be the shortest path for my topology. And believe me, when you see it in graphically, it seems to be very easy. Let us jump to that. Okay, the topology must be dynamic. It should not be static. It must be dynamic. Okay, this is how you have. So you see here, node A is there, node B is there. Same topology we have taken, but rather than they were sharing that in distance vector route protocol, every node was sharing that routing table with the immediate neighbors only, right? If A is directly connected B and C and D, then it will be sharing its own routing table to B, C and D, and then they will update it. And that is what we have seen. But now something is different here. The concept of link state routing protocol is every table, every node will have the entire topology, this entire topology with it. Okay. Everyone will keep that entire topology with them, and then they'll apply one algorithm to find out the way around for others, right? So you can take Dijkstra algorithm, shortest path algorithm, which is there for link state routing protocol. How they'll do it, we'll see it. But this is what, and other than this, what the extra thing will you have is the cost metric, that how each and every node they are connected with the cost. Okay. See, in distance vector routing protocol, same cost we have taken. Doesn't mean that we are only taking distance. It may be kind of cost. In RIP, the cost is hop count, number of networks. In link state routing protocol, the cost is something else. We'll talk about it. So after having this many things, that every node will have the graph, entire graph of the domain with him. And then what they'll do is all the nodes have the partial knowledge about itself at the starting, that I am connected with suppose B. So what is my distance from A to B, or what is the cost from A to B? So I say that 5. Okay, I am connected with C, then I have this distance. I have connected with D, then I have this. Right? Every node, all the nodes which are there in link state will have their own information there, how they're connected with other node. Okay, with the cost available. So this was also there in RIP. So what is new thing in here, right? If you take link state routing protocol, so this is just knowledge I have. This is just knowledge I have. As I told you yesterday, I was talking about routing algorithm. I told you that in static routing algorithm, what you do is you create static path. No, I was writing that destination network. So I was writing that 192.168.12.0 subnet mask that I wrote, and then next hop, that where should you go to find that network. We were writing that, and the entry we were mentioning was about the networks with whom we are not directly connected. We were not entering the networks with whom we were directly connected, right? In static routing, we are writing in the list with whom we are not directly connected. So we will find out the way that if I'm not directly connected, where should I go to connect with that network? That is what we were writing. And yesterday also I mentioned that in dynamic routing, what you do is every router itself will announce something. What they will announce, rather than this entry, you will not maintain any entry. You will just say that which routing algorithm you want to use. You will say that, okay, I want to use distance vector routing. If you want to use distance vector routing protocol, then you need to announce that with which networks you are directly connected. So this is what you can say a contrast thing. So here in link state routing protocol also A has the information that with B, with C and with D I am directly connected. With B, with C, with D I am directly connected. B has the information I am directly connected with A, C and E. D has the information at the initial level that I am directly connected with A. C has the information I am directly connected with A, B and E. And E has the information that with whom I am directly connected. This is the initial level information they will maintain. Then after, how they will share. So everything is, see, still we do not have that entire routing table. Okay, we have just locally connected nets and information. Still we have not updated it, that what will be that entire routing table, how one node will, suppose from A, if you look at here A, how A will pass the message to E, we don't know, because for that every node has to share their information. Okay, so suppose I have the information that I am connected to roll number 1, 2 and 3, and I am not directly connected with roll number 101, 102 and 103. So I have the information that I am connected to 1, 2, 3. And suppose 1, 2, 3 in turn are connected to 101, 102, 103. But I don't know that information. So my logic will be up to 1, 2, 3. That I can say that, okay, I can pass the message to 1, 2, 3. But if I come to know that 1, 2, 3, they are also connected to 101, 102, 103, then I can say that, okay, I cannot directly go to 101, 102, 103, but I have a connection via which I can pass the message to 101, 102, 103. And for that, 1, 2, 3 has to announce that I am we are connected to 101, 102, 103. Are you getting this? So this is initial level information. I have the initial level information that I am connected to 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3 has the information that I am connected to DCV as well as 101, 102, 103. And 101, 102, 103 has the information that they are connected to 1, 2 and 3. Right? But this is the initial level information. Yet we have not generated an entire routing table. So how it will be done? For that, 4 steps are required to build a routing table. So now, as I gave you the information, me, 1, 2, 3 and 101, 102, 103, you can keep them in a single line. But you see, I do not have direct connection with 101, 102, 103. So I'll use that entire path. How I will come to know that I am indirectly connected with them? So for that, 4 steps are required. First step says that creation of the state of link by each node known as LSP, link state packet. Every node has to create LSP packet. Now what will be there in LSP packet? I'll tell you that. The LSP packet has the information that with whom I am connected. So if I will generate my LSP packet, in my LSP packet, I'll write that I am directly connected with 1, 2 and 3. If A will generate LSP packet, in A's LSP packet, there will be information that I am connected with B, C and D with respective costs. So I am connected with B with 5, with C with 2 and D with 3. And everyone else has the same LSP packet, their own LSP packet, I mean to say. Right? B has its own LSP packet, C has its own LSP packet, E has its own LSP packet, and so on for D. Right? First step, just they will create an LSP packet. Now, the second step is flooding LSP in an efficient and reliable way. In efficient way means it must be clearly should be delivered to the neighbors, as well as reliable way. Why reliable way? It may be the case that your packet is lost, then your routing information will not be modified at the other end, right? In previous example, I was talking about three node instability problem. In three node instability problem, it has occurred because the packet from A to C was lost. If you can recall it, I hope that right, and I wish that you can recall it. Okay, so up to this, you flooding LSP packet. Flooding means you forward it to all others. Okay, we'll see that how your router will flood it to others. Okay, so your neighbor will come to know the A's LSP packet will be here, A's LSP packet will be here, A's LSP packet will be here, D's LSP packet will be to A, C's LSP packet will be to A, to B and E, E's LSP packet will be to C and B, B's LSP packet will be to A, C and E. So everyone started flooding their LSP packets. Now third one is for which is the logical technical case, that how you generate routing algorithm. So what it says that formation of shortest path tree for each node using a Dijkstra algorithm. Formation of shortest path tree for each node. Each node will generate its own. So it is not for entire domain, but it is for every node. So formation of shortest path tree for each node. Why I'm emphasizing on this part, because each node will generate its own shortest path tree using which algorithm? Dijkstra algorithm. Now you must know Dijkstra algorithm. If you don't know, we'll recall it. And the fourth step is calculation of routing table tree based on shortest path tree. You apply Dijkstra algorithm, and then finally you will have a calculation of routing table tree. Right, up to this, I hope that is clear. So you create LSP packet, you flood it, apply Dijkstra algorithm for that. Every node will apply its own Dijkstra algorithm, and then finally you will have a routing tree or shortest path tree. So how you create creation of the state of link by each node known as LSP? How you create? First step is creation of LSP packet. So what will be there in LSP? Actually, I conveyed it, but just for sake of covering this topic, I'll let you know. So LSP contains node first thing, from which node you're forwarding it. List of links. How many links are there? Are you connected to A, B, C? How many links you are connected? Okay, another message. Node identity, list of links, and sequence number and age information. Sequence number and age information. Which sequence number you are using, and age information. Age information will be time clock. So say that, sir, why age information is there? Because this, you say flooding LSP in efficient and reliable way. Because we know it may be the case that one of your packet is delayed due to traffic, and already you have transmitted another packet which is received by your receiver, and that delayed packet will suppose delivered by your receiver late. So in that case, your receiver must be able to understand that this is the delayed packet, this is the old information, and for that age information will be there. Sequence number also be there to identify that which is first packet, which is second packet, which is third packet, and for which packet you are getting acknowledgement, right? What other things will be there? Node identity and list of links used to build the topology. Using node identity and list of links, right? You'll build the identity, or you'll build the topology. And sequence number is used to identify duplicate LSP during flooding.
because it may be the case that from A to B you have transmitted. Okay, so it is not limited to this only. Suppose you have transmitted from A to B, and that packet, your LSP, is transmitted to E. Okay, and that packet is transmitted to C. Now you have already received it from A, so you must be able to identify that this is nothing but a duplicate information, right? For that we have sequence number. Practically we'll see it, don't worry. So sequence number is used to identify duplicate LSP during flooding. Age prevents old LSP to remain in the domain for longer period of time. I already mentioned it. Age information is for that. Second step, how to flood it. So flooding LSP in an efficient and reliable way. So LSPs are broadcasted into the system in efficient way. So it may be the case that you are using TCP or UDP, right? We'll see that which protocol we are using. Creating node, send LSP out of each interface. Every interface, now you know how many interfaces are there, or what you can say, which link you can say interface, and what is interface actually, you know it. So suppose you just recall the topology I was discussing yesterday. The middle router is connected left hand side router, right hand side router, and below with a switch. So when you flood LSP, you will flood it on every link. Okay, right, left hand side fast Ethernet, right hand side serial cable, and down there is a fast Ethernet cable. So you flood it or broadcast it into the system in efficient way. You forward it on every interface. A node receive LSP, suppose router 1 or router 2, who receives LSP will compare it with the old LSPs using sequence number and may accept it or not. It may be the case that it is new information which is uh, uh, you believe that okay, this is the information which I should compare with my old information, and I should update my table. And sometimes you feel that okay, this information is nowhere of my use. In that case, you can avoid it. So using sequence number, if you have received the newer sequence number, then older sequence number packet you will always discard, because you will say that okay, due to traffic or something else, I am receiving it later, or this is older packet, you can receive it. Then send a copy to all except the one from which the packet arrived. So if I show you this, I have already conveyed. So A will forward it to B, and as by receiving, B will forward it to C and E except A. When C receives the packet, it will forward it to E except B. Okay, so whether it is forming a loop or not, we'll see it. But this is what flooding the ISP packet is. Send a copy to all except the one from which the packet arrived. And finding shortest path using digest algorithm. This is the fourth step. Third step. How will find shortest path? So set route to the local node. So if I am finding the shortest path for A, then I will create A as a local node, a root node, and move it to tentative list. Then I go to tentative list. If it is empty, then I should stop. If it is not empty, then I should visit number of node. So if it is not empty, there will be number of nodes in between in a tentative list. So among node in tentative list, move the one with the shortest path to the permanent list. So by looking at this, we'll come to know that there will be two lists. One is tentative list and one is permanent list. So we will, so if you can get the idea, what we are doing is we are putting every node in a tentative list, and then we are visiting the node with the shortest path and putting it in a permanent list. Then again we'll go here in loop, and each unprocessed neighbor of last move node tentative list is not already, then you come here and again, is it empty? No. You find out the shortest path. Then you go back. Is it empty? No. So you find out the shortest path, and so on. Finally, whenever this will become empty, you will stop. Flowchart will not give you exact idea, but let's have the example. So how A has this topology, as I mentioned earlier, that every node will have the topology. Now A has the topology. So what A does, I'm talking about this, finding out shortest path. So how A will form its shortest path? So it will create its own node as a root node. So I have created A as a root node and moved A in tentative list. Set root to A and move A to tentative list. So I have A in a tentative list. Now this is my topology. Now, is my tentative list empty? No. So I'll go here and we'll find out that how many nodes are there with which A is connected. So I'll say that from A, I can go to B, I can go to C, I can go to D. So move A to permanent list. So I have created A. So okay, A is fixed. From A, now how many tentative lists are there? I can go to B, I can go to C, I can go to D. They are there in tentative list. I have not yet fixed. So which one is the shortest path? I'll say that from A to C is the shortest path. So I will create A to C. So I will move C in a permanent list, and with the node C is connected, I will move them in a tentative list. So C is connected with B, but B is already there in tentative list. Then any other node, yes, E is there, so I will send E in a tentative list. So how many are there in tentative list? B, E, and D. How many nodes are there in permanent list? A and C. Now, I'll again check which one is the shortest path. I'll say D. So I will move D as a permanent list, and I'll say that okay, if I want to go to D, I should go from A to D with cost 3. Then is D connected with any other node? No. If D is connected with any other node, you can move it to tentative list. So permanent list is ready up to A, C, and D. Now two nodes are left, B and E. Which node is the with the shortest value? We'll say 5, B. So you'll move B to the permanent list, and then finally E as the permanent list. So now your tentative list is empty, and then so that you will stop the algorithm. Right? So you just look at this, take 5 minutes and look at this. Now you look at this. If you have any doubt, you can ask me now. And is it clear? I don't know whether it is clear or not, but because you are not writing anything, no one is answering. Yes, Kashyap, thank you. Smith, okay. Step 3, repeat again. Okay, Smith. Which step 3? Yes, this. What is path? Okay, repeat. Yes, repeat. I'll repeat, don't worry. I'll repeat. Okay. So the third step says that how to find out shortest path. To find out shortest path, what you'll do is you will have the topology, entire topology, and there you need to run Dijkstra algorithm. How to run Dijkstra algorithm is like this. It is for every node. We'll do this for every node. Suppose I'm doing it for A, then set a root to local node. What is my local node? My local node is A. So I'll set A as a root node and move it in tentative list. Then if A is there, from A, where can I go, or where can I forward a packet directly? So if I look at the topology, I can forward the packet to B, I can forward the packet to C, I can directly connect it with D, so that I will have B, C, and D in my tentative list. That I have three ways to move, but yet I have not fixed the tree. So actually you are generating shortest path tree. Then these three are there in tentative list, and I will put A in a permanent list. Now from A, what I'll do is I'll check, is my tentative list empty? No. So who are there in my tentative list? I'll say that B, C, and D, they are there. So among the nodes in tentative list, move the one with the shortest path to the permanent list. Move the one with the shortest path to the permanent list. How many nodes are there? D, C, and B. Which one with the shortest path? I'll say C is the shortest path node. So I'll move C in a permanent list. Permanent list is nothing but it's a routing path you are fixing. That this is the path you should use with the cost. Okay, so I'll say that, okay, whenever I want to go to D, I'll use this A to C, right? And as you have chosen C as the permanent node, is there any another way you can get connected via C? Yes, E. C will add it in a permanent, sorry, tentative list. So you see, uh, you are having a priority queue. There is nothing but a priority queue where you will have sorting mechanism. The node with the shortest value or lowest value will pick up that node. All right. So now how many nodes are there in B, E, and D? These are there in tentative list. Still my tentative list is not empty. So what I do is I'll pick up the node with the lowest value. I'll say that, okay, D is the node with the lowest value. So I will have D in my entry and say I'll move in a permanent list. I'll say that, okay, D with 3. How many nodes? So am I connected via D with any other node? Right now, no. Okay, in graph there is no other nodes are there. So now from B and D, which one is the shortest path? B. So I'll say that, okay, B, I'm connected, and I'll move it in permanent list. And then I'll move E in a permanent list. And now my permanent list is empty. So that I'll say that, okay, sorry, tentative list is empty. So I'll say that, okay, now I can stop it. So what I did is I have generated the shortest path tree. Same thing I can do with B. I will put B in a root node. Then say that, okay, how many will be there in tentative list? A, C, and E. So A, C, and A will be there in tentative list. Which one is the shortest path? So I'll say that E. So I'll move E in permanently, and then I will add C. But C is already there. I'll say that, okay, no problem. But I'll have that. Uh, okay, already shortest values are there. So we will not add anything. So now C, by having E, now I will move C in a permanent list. Then I will move A in a permanent list. The moment I will add A in a permanent list, I will have D as well, right? And then I will add D in a permanent list. So this is what the idea will be there about B's shortest path. You can generate it for C, you can generate it for D, you can generate it for A. I hope that makes sense. Is it clear now? Smith? Smith, Somyadeep, is it clear? Okay. Okay, and okay, clear, na? If you have any doubt, you can raise your doubt here. Okay, just a moment. Let me take attendance before I forget to take it. Uh, Meanwhile, if you have any doubt, you can just let me know. Yes, I hope my screen is right. So, link state routing protocol. So, of link state routing is open shortest path. So, in few seconds, we'll see. The moment I'll complete attendance, I'll jump to the PPT because I lost the connection in my computer. So, it may be the case for next time also. Let me take attendance first. OSPF and RIP both are dynamic routing protocol, and you when we configure it, you'll see that it is very easy to configure RIP and OSPF as compared to static routing. The static routing will always take time because you need to manually go there and configure it. But when you configure dynamic routing algorithm, it will be very easy. So permanent entry first, it will be very empty, and then you move A0 as a tentative, and then A0, 0 is nothing but the distance from A to A. It's going to be 0, right? Then permanent entry A0 tentative में आपके पास B, C and B, C and D will be there. Then you'll move C in a permanent entry, and tentative entry you will have B5, D3 and E6, so on. What we've done uh, in a graph I have explained you is that, right? In permanently you'll have that entire graph, entire tree. Building routing table. So based on that topology, now you will build a routing table here. The routing table will be A, I am connected with cost 0, B, I am connected with cost 5, C, I am connected with cost 2, D, I am connected with cost 3, and E, I am connected with cost 6 via C. How come to know that you are connected via C? By having this, right? So OSPF normally have one thing is known as area. What is area in ASPF? In OSPF, area is collection of network, host and router in autonomous. So sometimes what is it is single area OSPF and multi area OSPF. Normally we'll see single area OSPF. We do not need to go with areas, but sometimes if you have the organization, which is a very huge organization, and plenty of routers are rather than having a small number, you have big number in number of routers. So what you say that uh, rather than remembering each and every router with their number, because see number of routers are there and entries are there, so it will be very difficult for you to manage it. So what we do is we divide that entire organization number of areas. Then we only manage it in particular area only. Right? That is what we are doing in OSPF. In practical, I'll show you that. So normally we will take area 0, we will learn a single area OSPF will configure, right? But nevertheless, at least you should have this idea. Collection of network, host and router, number of routers in autonomous system. Router inside area flush information within that area only. Router at a border called area border router. So whatever is the router is connecting the entire area with the another area, you say that it is border area router, right? So this is what your areas in autonomous system. So this is area 1, area 2 and area 0. Now area 0 is connected with area 1. Area 0 is again connected with area 2 here. And you see here, this is your area border router. They are in single autonomous system. But as the number of routers are there, which are very in a larger number, what we did is we have divided it in single areas. So suppose we'll say that this is IT, this is CE, this is CC, this is mechanical, and so on and so forth. So this router who is connected IT and CE, you can say it's a border or a area border router. This is who is connected to different area, we'll say area border router, right? And backbone router is there who is connected the entire area with the other network, right? So these all are, you can say, backbone network or backbone router. Types of links: point to point, transient, stub, and virtual link. Let me check what is the time. Should I go for? Let me complete this theory. Types of links, how they are connected with each other. That is, you can say, types of links. So point to point, you know it. Transient network, you will have one Ethernet cable and all are other are connected with it. So this you can say a transient network where you can have the idea that where A, B, C and how they are connected. Okay. Sometime those all transient link, number of machines are there where you say that okay, this link is going there and machines are connected. When you represent it, you represent it like this. Okay, that A is connected to B as well as E as well as D as well as C. C is connected to this. So this is, you can say, unrealistic representation where you assume that okay, this is how I can connect it. But for that you need too many cables or too many links. Did I lost the connection again? Yes. Yes, I lost the connection. Yeah, presentation is not available because my audio is from different device and my presentation was there in different device. Let me know when it becomes available. So transient link where all our other are connecting with each other. Okay. So this is what you do, right? But this is not possible in unrealistic representation is not possible. So what you do is you will have one designated router which all are connected with that other router. So what you say as a designated router is a router who will behave as a root node. Whenever is your area or a particular connections are there, one router will behave as a designated router. See, also we do not want to have a entire link in a form of loop. Okay, sometimes you need a designated router which allows other to pass a message or to do not, right? So one router will be there as a designated router, and there will be election kind of thing. Okay, they all will elect one router as a designated router, and another router there will be in a backup. Okay, so this is what about designated router. I'll show you that this in practical. And this is stub network, that entire Ethernet is connected to this, right, with the designated router. And yes, I'll show you this link and as well as autonomous system in OSPF. So this is a graphical representation, but I'll create a network and then I'll show you this. So this you can say this C is connected with network 2, C is connected with network 1, B is connected with network 1, A is also connected with network 1, D is connected with network 3, E is connected with network 4, and F is connected with network 5. So this is how we can represent in a graphical representation, that this is node C, this is node A, this is node B, this is node E, F, and D. In this entire, there will be one designated router, and this is how they are connected. And we need to form a OSPF or open shortest path first. So link state routing protocol is dynamic routing protocol, inter-domain routing protocol, and the example of link state routing protocol is nothing but OSPF, right? Open shortest path first. So when we go to lab and when we configure any algorithm, dynamic algorithm, when I say that it's OSPF, it is a link state routing protocol. And the full form or example of link state routing protocol is nothing but open shortest path. So when we will be configuring open shortest path first, it is going to be kind of link state routing protocol. So everything I taught you, number of 4 steps, we will be looking at that algorithm. So we'll see later when we configure it. Any doubt so far? Any doubt so far? No doubt or any doubt? Up to this, is it clear? Yes, who is this? Yes, okay, clear. Okay, so if you do not have any further doubt, you may leave the meeting. Those who are having doubts, they be there.